Good morning and welcome to our coffee talk from BGA. These are weekly sessions where we will be providing industry insights to agents. We share product updates, market trends, policy changes, and marketing that will help agents find sales to grow their business. We'll be posting these every week on YouTube on Tuesday before noon, and for our listeners on all your podcast services. My name is Trent Zimmerman. I will be your host from week to week. And this week we are joined by one of our agents here, Eric Bell, a highly successful agent who we have the pleasure of speaking with, who I hope a lot of you can pull a lot of value from. Thanks for joining us, Eric.
Thanks for having me, Trent. I really appreciate it.
Of course. So before we dive in, can you share with me how you got into the industry?
Okay, well, I've been licensed now in securities for almost 40 years. Come February 4th, it will be 40 years. And I thought insurance wasn't a good thing. Back in those days, it really wasn't to me. The products have evolved and changed. But 27 years ago, I got involved with insurance, and I saw it as an alternative to fixed income.
Hmm.
And I love it. So came through the securities industry, learned about insurance, and continue to learn about insurance. But that's how I got involved in insurance about 27 years ago.
And so that switch from not really liking insurance as a vehicle to liking it, was that a change in your mindset or was that a change in the product offerings?
I think it was both. I mean, it was a change in the offering, and also in my mindset. I mean, when you look at the insurance industry, it's the only industry that has a competitive advantage when it comes to taxes.
Hmm.
The products that allow you to, pay your taxes now on your original investment and later withdraw your original investment, your gains, and also your interest on a tax-free basis. That's pretty good to me. And also it's fulfilling, self-fulfilling. If you
Yeah,
die, of course your family gets a death benefit that's tax-free to them. So I like that concept.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
now how much of your focus now is towards selling life insurance versus any other products you have in your book?
I'd say probably about 70%. I mean, for me right now, life insurance with the long-term care rider is what I've been
Mhm.
pushing big time.
So that long-term care rider, we've been talking about it a lot these last few weeks. Everyone seems to be talking about the law change. Do you have any take on that?
I saw what happened in Washington. I know California is looking at doing something similar. I mean, I can only just relate the long-term care to my own personal situation. My mom has dementia.
Mhm.
She asked me when I first started selling insurance in 1996 to write her a long-term care policy because she didn't want to be a burden to me and my brother. So I did so, thinking she was just trying to give me a commission. Fast forward to last year, we had to exercise that long-term care policy. And her care right now is got the bill right here. It's between, well, this one says only 7,700, but it's between 7,500 and 7,900 dollars a month for where she stays at. And the long-term care policy pays out $8,100 a month. So a godsend, to be honest with you. I don't have to
Yeah,
sell any of her properties, don't have to pull income from any of her rental properties, anything of that sort. So it's a godsend.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so I would assume then it was just a standalone long-term care policy.
correct.
That's great that she kept it in place.
And then fast forward to myself, Trent. I mean, I have a $1 million policy with the ability to pull out $20,000 a month if I need it over a period of 50 months.
Right.
Now, I don't need that much right now, and I'm not anticipating a long-term care incident. But with inflation, you never know how much it's going to cost by the time I might need it.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
products seem to be a lot more effective now than they were back when she was getting it as a standalone.
Yeah, I remember seeing VULs, variable universal lives, a way to be in the market, but you also had the downward volatility in the market back
Yeah.
then. And it didn't make sense to me. Why pay for insurance and you could lose more money and have the cost of insurance back then? So I wasn't a proponent of it. But the
Yeah.
IUL, I love the IUL, the Index Universal Life.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, when you switched over into getting into life insurance, how were you building your book of business?
Well, I still do securities, not
Yeah.
as much. And I do a lot of what I call tax mitigation.
Okay.
And so, my background. I went to work for a bunch of big companies. Um, State Street, BNY Mellon, BNP Paribas. Had leadership roles there. My book of business still consists of securities, but also a large component of is insurance, because the age group right now, they want guarantees
Hmm.
that I'm dealing with. I'd say people between 50 and my age. I'll be 65 this year. As a matter of fact, more people this year are turning 65 than any other year in our country. Um,
Wow.
we want guarantees around our money. We don't want
Right.
volatility. Yeah.
Right. And so are you building most of that out of a referral source, or are those people you've had it within your system for a long time?
Combination.
Okay.
I'd say more referral sources though. Clients telling another client about me for the most part. CPAs, attorneys telling people about me for the most part.
Yeah. And so with that combination, you have more people looking at guarantees. They don't want the volatility. You're bringing in new clientele. Are a lot of these people who are coming in to see you knowing what they want, or are they just saying, here's my problem, can you solve it for me?
I think most people don't realize what problems they have. I mean, they're running their business, they're tending to their families. So it's just sitting down for me and just doing what I call a discovery meeting and just learning more about them and what they want to accomplish long term.
So what does your discovery meeting consist of? How do you figure out what their problems are, their needs are?
Well, a lot of times, like I said, it's coming to me from a referral source. So I have some inside intel to start with. I may pick it up on there, or talk about their business, challenges they may be having with their business and taxes, challenges they may be having saving for retirement. What's the next steps, or what do they see going on with them in the future? And they just kind of start to talk. I mean, we have one mouth and two ears, right? So we can listen more than we talk. So I try to listen more than I'm talking and just keep I don't want to say it, give open-ended questions so I keep the conversation going.
And
I
so,
can't say there's a scripted
right,
type of let me check the boxes off in terms of what I'm asking and all that type of stuff because we really haven't gotten that far. I'm just learning more about them on the initial meeting.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And then once you get them into the system, how are you using um life insurance then for these tax mitigation strategies that you were talking about earlier?
Well, I've teamed up with one of my good old long-term friends. He was a partner of mine, and he's a tax attorney.
Hmm.
And a lot of people, you're looking at on real estate, for example, looking at 1031 exchanges. A lot of people don't like the restrictions, the rules and regulations of a 1031 exchange. They want to be able to be liquid because cash is king in the next real estate transaction. But a lot of times people are looking for income versus putting it back into real estate. So I'm able to get them out by eliminating the capital gain tax and repositioning them into products that are going to give them a tax-free stream of income. They love that because why would you take tax-free money that you just got out on a tax-free basis and put it in any other place, but someplace where there's going to be a tax-free stream of income? So the clients love that type of concept. Um, when we get that far, and then we just continue to move it on, and put contracts on both the husband and the wife, or the kids, or whatever makes sense, depending on their dynamic.
Right. And
Yeah,
so you're structuring that with permanent insurance, usually an IUL then?
correct.
Okay.
It depends on what we're doing. I mean, there's to me in my mind, and I'm not the best person on insurance by far, but I see there's one for accumulation and there's
Yeah.
one for protection. So we might do a combination of two different contracts, one for protection if they were to pass away to have that income gap closed, and one for accumulation. So down the road, if they want to start a tax-free stream of income, that'd be available to them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking to Sean last week just about that same concept about having both those policies in place to protect you. Instead of just a
It
single
makes
thing that's
sense. Yeah.
a golden, there's no golden bullet, uh, having that combo. And I know you work a lot with Sean, so that makes sense that you guys resonate on that.
Well, Sean has taught me a lot, and my mind's always open. You can never know too much, and whatever I know, I can always know some more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you're doing a lot of this tax mitigation strategy. You're selling a lot of permanent insurance from our eyes, what we're seeing. Are you also doing term insurance at all?
I'm not a believer in term. I mean, I had a term contract. It was 2 million.
Yeah.
It expired, I want to say 2 years ago. and my premium was going to bump up to keep that 2 million to like $34,000 a month, I think, or 11,000 a month. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. So, term insurance to me is sold because they know it's going to term out. You're just basically renting versus buying. I
Right.
think people want to own it and have it for, when you're young and you got kids and that's maybe all you can afford, it might make sense for a little while. But you got to definitely consider term insurance. I mean, you definitely consider an IUL or permanent insurance.
Right.
Yeah.
So since we're looking at this as educational series, and a lot of our agents just aren't confident with uh, selling permanent insurance. They're looking at a race to the bottom with term. How how did you get comfortable selling that permanent insurance? And how did you move from that into now just saying term's not my game. I only do permanent insurance.
Well, I mean, because to me, permanent insurance, if you want to, a lot of guys who are stuck on term are investment guys, brokers, former brokers, or they're still trying to sell stocks and bonds, and
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. So their path of least resistance is a term contract to protect someone. But
Hmm.
when you look at what's going on in the fixed income market, when interest rates go up, bond prices go down. To me, life insurance, permanent life insurance is a fixed income substitute if you
Hmm.
structure it properly. And it's self-fulfilling, like I said a little bit earlier. I mean, that guy putting 30 grand in a year has probably an insurance contract on the end of it, if we're doing for accumulation, of 127,635, whatever that number is. If you were to pass away, it's self-completing, where you have that $127,000 death benefit going to the family versus just their investment.
Yeah.
So I look at it as a fixed income alternative. And also, when you look at bonds, if you're saying muni bonds, those are considered provisional income in regards to your Social Security, where life insurance is.
So we're talking about this tax mitigation strategy that you do. We're talking about this confidence that you have with permanent insurance. And we're looking at the tax sunset coming probably in 2026 if Congress does nothing around $68 million. Um, are you finding that people are aware of this? Are they anticipating this? Are you seeing insurance as a good solution for that?
Well, the media doesn't hasn't been shy about talking how big our deficit is.
Yeah.
And when you look at the four things that 92% before the pandemic, before our bailout with the Ukrainian bailout thing that we spent a bunch of money over there, and now we're spending money on the Gaza thing that's going on. Um, Taxes have to go up. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of my clients are very much aware of our spending. They know they want to be in a tax-free place when things shake out. They're anticipating, and so am I, that taxes will have to go beyond what they were prior to Trump's tax cuts in 2017.
Hmm.
So, well, I mean, we'll be back at where they were when Obama was in office, but they probably got to go higher simply to cover our debt and take care of people.
Yeah. So how do you see life insurance playing in as a solution there?
Well, like I said, I mean, that's the only industry that has a competitive edge when it comes to taxes. I
Hmm.
mean, the products within insurance, they allow you to put after-tax money in, let it grow, and you have a tax-free stream of income. You can pull out your principal, your
Hmm.
interest, and also, any gains that you have on a tax-free basis. So tax-free streams of income are what a lot of my clients are looking for.
Yeah.
And
And
when I talk to people, they have 401ks, right? And I always tell them, look, do your 401k up to the match because that's free money. It's 100% return. But everything else, let's redirect it towards a permanent life insurance contract.
hmm. And so you're structuring those with what, an early cash rider in most cases, or are you just letting it mature for a good amount of time before they pull money out?
Depends on their age, depends on what they want to do. I mean, I always ask them, is you're going to need it sooner than later? If
Yeah.
the question is yes, yeah, we put the early cash rider on it. If they say, no, I'm not going to need it for another 5, 10, 15 years, then we just do the normal accumulation and don't put that rider on there.
Right.
And more growing. Yeah.
And now, I've heard you talk about this before, um, but asset shifting, you're a big proponent of it. Can you just give an overview of what that is, and how you like to use it?
Well, a lot of my clients, they're good savers to start with. It's just where are you saving the money at?
Hmm.
So, when I look at life insurance, Historically, returns over 7%. Again, I talked about the components of pulling it out. They may be saving money, I don't know, over at Schwab or someplace with volatility. How do we redirect that money and put it in places that have guarantees around it, and also will give you those tax-free streams of income? So not to say they're doing something wrong. Let's just take the money that you have and put it someplace where it might grow better on a tax-free basis. And if you look at the growth at 7% or 6%, whatever number you want to use, versus where they're at on a taxable basis, it just makes sense to move there. And the self-completion of life insurance also.
And are you seeing that people are already aware of the difference between the zero's your hero kind of idea with IUL versus the average gain riding the market? Or is that something that you have to educate your clients on?
It's an education process because, I mean, as you know, Trent, you're not going to get all the market in an IUL. You're going to get a portion of it. But the
Right.
good thing about it is you're not going to get the downside of the market also. 2008, 2009, when the market fell off the cliff, people who are in life insurance, they were flat, but they didn't lose any money. So they didn't have to dig out of a hole to start to gain again. And they got further ahead.
Right.
So to answer your question, I think I have to educate them. A lot of
Okay.
them just haven't looked at it. I mean, they're running their businesses and their families. They haven't looked at it the way we look at it on a daily basis. So educating them is a part of the process.
And as for they're not looking at it on a consistent basis, and you work with your clients over a longer period of time, in a lot of cases. Are you looking at upgrading their insurance contracts every couple of years or so, or how long does that timeline go?
Well, I mean, we're looking at their contracts on a yearly basis,
Okay.
upgrading their contracts. I mean, if sometimes they may not qualify anymore for life insurance, they had some incidents or something of that sort, and they don't qualify
Yeah.
anymore. But if there's an opportunity to give them more, I'd rather them keep the contract they had because I can't replace that age and what they got it at that time. But
Right.
we can always start a new one.
Got
So,
it.
yeah.
All right. And then I know we talk about getting money out of the estate a lot, especially with this looming estate tax dropping. And where do you see trust playing a role in this? Do you partner with a lawyer to set up trust for your life insurance contracts you're setting up?
Yeah, I do. There's a couple attorneys that I'm very familiar with. They're familiar with me and my own personal attorney over at Cummins and White, and
Hmm.
we do some planning together with different clients in terms of structuring the right trust, maybe having the trust be the beneficiary. Right now we got a lot of families that are blended families. So
Yeah,
you got kids from the original marriage, you got kids from her original marriage, and now you got kids together. So you got a blended family. So how do you take care of everybody if that's what you want to do? So a lot of times the death benefit is going to the trust and distribution from there. So yeah, we do a lot of that, have a lot of those discussions.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have one final question for you, and this is the question we ask everyone on this podcast. It's our last one. It's called the Kohler question. You're familiar with the brand Kohler. They make beautiful bathroom uh, appliances. And the idea of this is there's always those cases or those clients you're working with that it seems like it's easier to just flush it away. And what's one of those cases that you've reached back in and pulled it out, been able to save it, and been able to make something of it?
So I'm trying to understand your question. They have an insurance policy and they're not going to make the premium anymore, or what? I'm trying to understand what you're telling me or asking.
We we're I was talking to Sean about this last week with the core question, and it's just the agent he was working with was taking no as an answer, and this was a big case that in the early days of BGA that could have uh, made or broke the bottom line here in being able to keep the lights on. And he was talking about how he was able to go back in and save that case. So is there anything that pops to your mind of, reaching in, pulling something out from not being able to go through in a time where you needed it to?
Yeah, I think, well, the perception of insurance has changed quite a bit, so I think for me anyway, just going back in and giving a little bit more education. The numbers don't lie. Just go through the numbers with them. and have it make sense. Make it make sense to them. That's all. I mean, that's all I think you can do.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're distracted. They had other things on their mind. That's why they said no. They want to keep moving. They had distractions from their business or family. If you can get them in a non-distracted mode where they can sit down quietly and understand what you're telling them, I think most people would move forward
Yeah.
if they had the cash. A lot of times, they didn't have the cash at the time, sometimes, so they didn't want to deal with it, or they were using the cash for something else. But if you can show them how they can do multiple things with the cash they have, I think it's a win-win for the client and for us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us. This was a great conversation. I really appreciate it.
All
Uh,
right.
we'll be posting this this coming Tuesday on our social media and our YouTube. So for those watching, please like and subscribe if you want to hear more content like this. We'd love to hear back from you. Getting agents on like Eric Bell is a great asset for education, and we'll be bringing on more people like him and people from the carriers as these episodes move forward. So thank you for joining us, Eric, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Trent. Bye-bye.
Bye.